So due to the fact that I was moving and didn't have time to do anything, and the fact that in the moving process I lost my hard drive. I had an external hard drive plugged in to do the meeting index stuff, and I couldn't find that, so I just copied the one from my out on my website where it's got the HTML based index and the text based index. I was able to take the text based one and start adding on to that. I was able to continue on with my indexing stuff, but then I couldn't convert that to the HTML. So the HTML index on the internet is out of date because I didn't have a translator to convert that. And I wasn't going to rewrite that from scratch. But anyway, so then a couple days ago, I did some digging. I spent like 2 hours. Bob said he spent an hour looking for his HTML adapter. So he needs to clean his stuff out. And I spent like 2 hours and finally found the hard drive and copied the files I needed over to my computer. So the outcome of that is, if you look down below the video, it's going to have a bunch of links. It's going to have in the description section, and it'll say here's the index of this meeting today, and then it has links saying here's the archived indexes. And hopefully I might get that, get everything cleaned up after the meeting today. I just got one. I had like 6 meetings that I hadn't indexed, and I got through 5.5 and realized I was asleep. So I put that aside, and then so I just have to finish watching that last meeting and updating the index. Then today's index I will try to put on there. So maybe when I start publishing stuff today, maybe I'll be caught up and have all that stuff fixed again. See anything about indexes? It's the fact that we've got the index of this particular meeting you're watching now that goes back about 3 years. And then I got another index that was ROS Agriculture, goes back another 3 years. So we got like six years of these types of meetings saved and indexed. Technically, the ROS Agriculture stuff, Matt had written that out to YouTube. And then when ROS Agriculture shut down, he deleted the whole, on the ROS Agriculture page, deleted all the links out to the videos, but they're still out there. So at this point, I think my index is the only thing that still points to those. But as far as I know, you can still get to those. So you just go out to the ROS Agriculture index, which is a text-based one, and you say, oh, okay, I want to know about this. So you can just cut and paste the link and paste it into a browser, and the video should come up and you can see it. So I think that's all I wanted to say about the indexes, and the fact that hopefully I'll be caught up, and then by next week, it'll be back to the standard process. Pretty much today will be the standard process. We do the video, I save it, then I go back and rewatch it, build the index, and then convert it, and then upload everything to everywhere. And so that's how that's been going. So when I turned on the computer today, I had something on the screen where it had a something for it was a ROSCON video on YouTube, was just up on the page. And I started digging, and I found chat, and put this in here again. And so I posted a link to chat here. Let me just pull it up like this. Get these out of the way. These out of the way. Make this bigger. And then how do you got to come over here and say start chat. Share screen. And I want desktop 1. So here's the, if you go to the link I just posted, which, let's see, how can we, the link's at the top, but you won't be able to read it. It's basically at GoGoGadgetFlow 2777/videos. And here's something interesting. I had never seen this before. So if you click on the tab that says videos, it shows you all these videos. That's got it has ROSCON 2018 back to ROSCON 2013 so if you go through there, there's just tons of these videos here. More than that. Oh, I just wanted them to top to start with. So anyway, they can go back and back and back. So it's got all the stuff listed, and some of the stuff looks pretty interesting. So this is a fairly convenient way to find it. But I noticed when I first clicked on it, it says home. and it says this channel has no content. I thought, oh, how do they publish all this stuff? But if I click on videos, there's all the videos. So I thought I don't understand how or why that works. And here we click on playlists. They may have organized it into years here. Yeah, so if you click on playlist, here it is. Here's the various years that they've got. And well, this is interesting. Here it's showing 2012, but that's the one I went to. And
Morning, everybody.
And so it's just maybe opening remarks is all they have for that one. No, over here it does show a bunch of stuff. So anyway, it goes all the way back to 2012 apparently. So let me go back to that thing where I was looking at. And so it's just got the playlist here of, I don't know what this is, it popped up. Anyway, so there's 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And the stuff on 2018, the reason it was up on the screen, it said something about integrating your IMU with ROS. And another one, something about it said use a GIS package, something about in real time on a real time robot or something like that. And I didn't look at it, but I had those up to remind me I was going to watch them. So before we started recording, I was telling Al that stuff's out there and that I would post this link so people can go look at this stuff if they want to. So there was a couple of interesting things there that I was interested in, and it's just a convenient way to find all this stuff.
I wonder why they stopped. I mean, I know they missed a few years, but
yeah, I don't know. It looks like that it's just simply they stopped at 2018. That's the newest stuff they have, and the official stuff was put out on not Indiegogo. What's it called? The one that's like YouTube, but it's somebody else. They would officially
Vimeo or something like that.
Vimeo. That I think maybe that's what it's called. Anyway, whatever it's called, the official stuff got put out there, and I think if you go search, say right now, if we just put in ROSCON something, let's see, let's do like here, say ROSCON, say just pick one and say 2020. And they seem to have official. Well, here, those will get me there anyway. Save the date. Now let's say, go here and say, oh, the videos are here. So that'll take you there, I think, eventually, if you say that. Yeah, I know. So these are always buried in here somewhere. It says, well, here we had the thing, and then there'll be one line that says, oh, by the way, the videos are here now. So if you go down here, and I see I'm going to end up wasting a lot of time here. Application, travel information, proposals. Somewhere down it says, here's an index of the meetings of the talks that are going to be, and then it'll say, oh, by the way, here's, if you click on it, submit it. So I always find it annoying to try to find this stuff here. Vimeo. So it is Vimeo where they put that stuff. I think Vimeo, you have to actually pay to put up videos as opposed to YouTube, which now it's just way out of hand. They got anything that people want to put up, and they're blatantly lying to you, and they're putting out false information. So I think this Vimeo probably does a better job of policing that. So but I've just noticed, actually looking at YouTube, this stuff is just really falling apart. So here's the past ones, and so the 2018. Well, this is gonna be the same thing if I go dig here. It's gonna take forever to find the videos, but so this is probably going to point to their official one. So you've actually got two copies from 2012 to 2018. You got this stuff I just found on YouTube, and then you've got the one on Vimeo that's actually put out on Vimeo. So there's if you go digging for this stuff, you can find lots of good information. So that was the point I wanted to make on that. Let's see anything else on my list here. No, other than the fact Al reminded me we need to back up the Slack stuff again, so I need to get that done in the next couple days. We get something like 10 days or something left before we have to do it, but so I'll try to get around to that. And that's all I could think. Well, I'll go ahead and mention this here. Let me stop sharing. And let me change this to this kind of view, speaker view. When I was at the grocery store, I bought this, or no, it was a Walmart actually. I bought this set of bathroom scales that claim to be Bluetooth, and see up the top it says Bluetooth, and it's got a picture of a cell phone there. And it's cheap enough. I thought I would get it and see if I can decode the Bluetooth messages, and because I don't want to download their app and put stuff out on their quote out on the cloud and have them steal all my information. But I'm willing to fire it up just to verify that I can send messages back and forth, and then maybe go look. I'm sure other people have put out tutorials on, oh, you got a device to talk to Bluetooth. Here's how you interpret what's going back and forth. That's another thing I could try to break into that and debug that. So, and that might be useful for anything that you pick up, anything is Bluetooth and you want to talk to it. That might be a reasonable thing to have. So that's something else I can put on my list. Put on my list of things that I will never do. So, and other than that, I didn't. Of course, I didn't make a list of things ahead of time, so that's all I can think of right now that I need to do. So I think I mentioned I was going to move my tables around, or maybe that was an unrecorded meeting, but I've got multiple tables where I found a new table in the trash. I was going to put that under my television, take the one under the television, put in my kitchen where I'm at right now, so it's smaller and does a better job, and take the ones in my kitchen, put it in my bedroom as make that into a workshop. So that's something else I need to do, that I have to dig around and make that work. So other than that, I think that's pretty much what I'm doing and what I have done. And I thought there's something else on GPS and IMU I was going to mention, but I can't think of what it was right now. So I guess I will turn it over to Al.
You mentioned earlier about the ROSCON. Maybe I don't know if that was being recorded or not. Using an IMU for dead reckoning, and it didn't work out so well. I think you mentioned something about that.
It said it was called Dead Reckoning with IMU, Why It Is Not Possible. Let me do this.
That's everything you want to know right in the title.
And what's actually going on here, this guy is saying if you just take a cheap IMU, you got the 9 degrees of freedom, or what do they call that? And he was pointing out, well, you can't use it because it doesn't measure speed, and that's the main thing. Speed and distances is why he was saying it's not possible. Because if you just have an IMU like that, and you want to get say a position out of it, you have to integrate your accelerometers, and that's a pretty crappy thing to do. And if you want to get, let's see, what is it? You integrate the acceleration to give you what speed, and then you integrate the speed to give you position. And by the time you integrated it twice, it's just totally worthless. So I assume that's what he's talking about. I didn't even go through it because it didn't look like. I think that's what he was doing, saying, just take this cheap IMU, and no, you're never going to be able to do dead reckoning with that. Which,
Before you leave that, click on the GPS IMU by MatLab on the right-hand side there. Understanding sensor fusion and tracking part 3. That looks interesting.
This one,
yeah.
Yeah, I tend to avoid it.
Continue our discussion on using.
And I don't know if the audio is coming through on that. I didn't tell
did.
it. So anyway, all the stuff on MATLAB, I tend to not look at it because pull up these MATLAB modules.
Oh, because it's MATLAB.
Yeah, because of the
centric.
MATLAB. So
got it.
But still, there may be useful information in these things, but that's kind of what that is. And let's let this play for a little while and see if that's what they're going to do.
Sensor fusion for positioning and localization. In the last video, we combined the sensors in an IMU to estimate an object's orientation and showed how the absolute measurements of the accelerometer and magnetometer were used to correct the drift from the gyro. Now, in this video, we're going to do sort of a similar thing, but we're going to add a GPS sensor. GPS can measure position and velocity, and so in this way, we can extend the fusion algorithm to estimate them as well. And
So on this one, as I say, the guy says it's not possible to use an IMU for dead reckoning. Here they're getting around it by adding the GPS to give them the position and velocity. And I think if we let this play, it was, oh, let's pull it here. Let me hang, just come
What's
down
the
here.
date on that? I'm just curious how long ago. 5 years ago. Ancient
5
history.
years. And let's see if let's make this bigger. How do I make this bigger? Like this. And just come down here. But he does have a lot of descriptions and diagrams and stuff here. So it, even though that it's the MatLab stuff. See here's the MATLAB type stuff, and I don't know if this is straight code or if this is MATLAB code. I don't know anything about MATLAB, but anyway,
I don't either.
that's why I tend to just ignore anything that says it's for MATLAB. And there's probably a few other things that are based on packages like that. Nice guy. It does look like it might be worth watching, but just keeping in mind that if you don't have MATLAB, his final stuff is not going to work right.
Yeah.
how does the algorithm combine
He defines the problem well.
Number one, it defines the problem, and then two, it might tell you things they're doing to get around it, and you just have to figure out how do you do that without MATLAB. So
Simple.
I will get around the problem with the squirrel problem. I just won't reduce this down so you can see any more icons. So I'll say stop sharing here. How do I stop sharing? Okay, so we're back to the real world here. So anyway, that was and it came up because the original search I said something like
first place?
let me back up just to see what my search was. And I just typed in IMU navigation dead reckoning, and it was bringing up, all kinds of. I should be able to do this again. Let's see, share screen, do this. So basically, I just simply said, again, I don't know if those show up or not, but we'll put those other. And it seems like there's much more stuff that comes up now that, back in the old days, you get this handful of stuff, but no, enough time has passed that they're showing you all kinds of fun stuff. So that's how I was finding that stuff I was looking at before. So just by putting in IMU navigation dead reckoning, it's bringing up all kinds of, again, more interesting stuff. If you've got time on your hands, we go dig that up, or if you're specifically trying to get something to work, there is stuff out there. And it seems like this stuff, they're not going out of their way to just blatantly lie to you, like the stuff that normally comes up on my normal YouTube feed. They're saying, oh, I've noticed on YouTube it'll say Keanu Reeves it was at a restaurant, and this happened, and then he bought the restaurant, and it made this woman the manager, and you realize that's just all made up. It has nothing to do with, they're taking some famous person's name and making up all these stories. But that's kind of what it's all degrading into now. So it's just nonsense. So anyway, I could complain about YouTube all day. So
That's quite a segue.
let's see. I can say YouTube, right? Because we're not. What is it? No, I can't say that because we're going to publish that in YouTube. So I might got myself into trouble there. So anyway, that's what I was looking at. So I'll turn it over to Al again.
Well, in my world, not a ton of progress, but just one little thing that I was putzing around with. I had bought these Molex connectors because I wanted to clean up my wiring, and ultimately I want to be able to put a cover over my electronics to keep it out of the weather, and in order to do that, it was trying to make where the wires pass through to be a little bit more elegant. And so I'd bought these Molex connectors. And so I'd spent a little bit of time trying to figure out, okay, so if I've got the connector, I can either just have it dangling loose and cut a hole and put the wires through the hole and still have it loose, and maybe caulk the hole and still have the wires dangling. But I decided I'd try to come up with a holder for, let's call it the female side of the Molex connector. So this is my attempt at doing that, and I made an angle out of it and countersank that a little bit, so that this would be mounted on the board. The cover would have that slot cut out, and my wires would come in this way. So a little bit of progress on that. As I said, I thought everything was on the internet, and it sort of is if you look around long enough, but finding this panel cutout dimension, I ended up just sort of trial and error getting to work, and then I found this panel cutout, and that helped a little bit. So that was one thing that I spent time on. The other thing that I was just going to mention briefly is Bob had a post here about
Oh, I was just pointing out that it looks like Al's locked up, and this is the second time it's happened today. And I realized I was on mute, so I'll say I just said the whole thing again. That well, we'll see if he comes back. There he's back.
what happened.
Well, you started talking about Bob's post and that you locked up.
Oh. Well, let me go back to Bob's post then. For remote access, I just suggested to Bob to start with PuTTY to do file transfers. FileZilla's worked well for me, but if he needs full GUI interface, I've tried everything that Bob mentioned plus some, and real VNC is the best that I've used, but you have to pay for it.
I want you stop and share your screen and show his message again, because you're not sharing.
Okay. Come on, Zoom. Dave.
Okay, but you're not sharing.
Yeah, trying to get there.
Okay.
Zoom Workplace. That's not what I want. Why did the share thing go away? Huh. Let me do tab, alt tab.
I will pause this because you locked up again, and we'll wait till you get everything displaying.
Pardon the interruptions, getting video going again here. So Bob made this post about using different remote access tools, and to quickly summarize, for command line, there's nothing better than PuTTY in my estimation FileZilla is another product for transferring files back and forth. Again, low overhead. If you need GUI interface, you want the full desktop, then for me, being free, No Machine is the best thing that I found. Real VNC is also a very good product, but it costs money. So if you want free, try No Machine for just non-professional use. And again, that's just if you want the full graphic interface. But I would start with PuTTY just to make sure you got connectivity and you know your IP addresses and everything is working before you try to move on to full GUI. That's just me though.
So I see he's locked up again, and I realize that if I'm paying attention when I see somebody locked up, I could immediately hit the pause button and then wait till they come back and then just unpause it. That way you won't have to, people at home won't have to watch for long periods of time while people are trying to figure out, trying to get their thing running again, or trying to figure out how to say how to share screens. Or last week or the week before, Bob was trying to share screens on his what's he got, some kind of a Macintosh, like an iPad or something,
Right.
and he couldn't figure out the right sequence on that. And then by the time the next meeting rolled around, he hadn't looked up how to do it. So we spent some more time trying to do that, but we finally got it working. So, but I realized that if somebody locks up like that, if I'm paying attention, I can just immediately pause the thing, and then when they're got everything back running again, then we can unpause it, and that way I wouldn't have to go back. I could go, I think what's on YouTube, I could go edit that stuff out, but I don't really want to do that. So anyway, that's we are still recording at this point. So is that I'll ask Al, is there more stuff you want to present? And then we lost him again. So I'll pause it and see if he comes back. So Al, do you have anything else?
And that's all for me today. Thanks.
Okay. End meeting for all.